Okay, this is a quick demonstration on how to make curved landings. So basically, when we done our finished drawing, we have those straight turns. We can also make those landing edges curved by using the Fillet tool and also the Arc tool. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So pretty much, first of all, we need to make sure that the extension snap is on. Okay, so first of all, we can extend by dragging the end point of those two lines so they intersect. And next is I type in fillet command, and here you got those options down here. So for this one, I'll click R for radius, and I give a 0.5 meter radius. Okay, so given my units is actually set to millimeters, so I need to type in fillet R for radius. Instead of 0.5, I go for 500. Okay, so for your drawing, if you are running your CAD on meters, you need to type in 0.5 meter. Okay, so then I can just go rid of that line. Now you've got a nice round edge for your landing. And here, this one is more straightforward because these two edges already meet each other. So again, fillet for radius, and this time I can do like maybe a 1 meter radius, so I type in 1000 millimeters. And again, if I press spacebar, it will repeat the last command. Okay, 1000. And here we go. So this one is actually quite straightforward. This is the same, so I won't show you that one. Okay, and this again, we can extend that line, extend that line. Okay, so let's say 600. And 600 here. Okay, and I can clean that up. So how do we do it here? So normally we can just draw like an arc for this particular type of landing. So what we can do is we can come here and we choose this one, start, center, and end. So basically we pick the start of the arc, in the center, which is the center point, end of the arc. So you see how the arc is sort of going in the other direction. So actually what we do is we should start from this end, center point, and end point. Okay, so it's okay if it's like that, but somehow if we zoom in, you can see there's a little kink here. And if we sort of go, see if it works. Yeah, never mind. Because why there's a kink here is because this semicircle is actually not on the tangent of these two corners. Okay, so what we need to do is let's go to a different layer. So I'm going to just draw a couple of guidelines to make sure that the arc is actually sitting on the tangent. So first of all, we find the center line of this landing, and then what I'll do is I'll draw a couple of new lines that's perpendicular to the edge. Okay, this one here. So again, make sure your perpendicular snap is on. All right, again, another one. So I'll have to just move these guys here, and that one, yeah. And then I use that to extend also these lines here. So now I've got this particular point. So if I draw a circle from this point, then I should be able to get a circle that has tangent from these two edges. So now I go to circle, and I use that intersection as my center point, and I finish there. So now if I get rid of that one, and then I use my line to trim this half here, so you see how now this joint here is nice and smooth because this arc is now sitting on the tangent of this particular line here. So what I can do is I remove these ones, and I use MA for match property to put this one on the path layer. Okay, so hopefully these three different types will allow you to change the landing from a straight landing to a curved landing. Okay, so now I can actually get rid of this one. All right, so remember how we mentioned grid points in assignment 1? So in CAD, we need to trace the outline of the entire path, and then make sure we click on all the grid points. Okay, but given the now we have those curved landings, and if you open property, you see that one is actually an arc, not a closed polyline. So when we trace it, it becomes a bit tricky. Say for example, we go to a different layer, okay, and then we start tracing our outline. So normally the straight line is actually quite straightforward. So I won't do the entire path. I'll just do this particular section because I think that's the most tricky part. All right, so when we come here, once the straight lines are finished, all right, so here is the end point. So we need to click that. And now with the arc, you see how we got the options down here. So it says arc, so I type A for arc. And what I need to do is actually go for second point. So S for second point, and I choose my midpoint, and then come down to the end of the arc. Okay, so now my arc finished, but this is still trying to draw another arc. So I need to click L for line. So L, I change to a straight line again. So click, click, click. All right, so I won't do the rest. But now, if we inspect this particular outline here, you can see that this particular point, it's actually a center point, not an end point. So it doesn't count as a grid point. That means if we import this into 3ds Max, we might run into some problems, like it may not be able to bevel it, or you may not be able to extrude it, or the boolean might have some issues. So how do we make sure that it doesn't happen? Okay, so basically we need to make sure this center point will become an end point or a grid point. So what we can do is we actually have to further divide this particular arc into 4 different sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we find the center point of this half arc and center point of this half arc. So what we can do is, again, we use the previous method by drawing some guidelines. Okay, so I can connect this guy here and this guy here. So I know that, so this center point to perpendicular, center point, and perpendicular. So now I know this particular point and this particular point actually can divide this arc into 4 different sections. So again, I go back to my outline layer. I start tracing my path outline. So click, here, here. Okay, now arc and second point. So how the command says specify second point on arc, which is here, and says specify endpoint of arc, which is this one. Again, I need to do another second point arc, so by pressing S for second point. And here is my second point and endpoint of my arc. So my arc now is finished. Press L for line and change back to straight lines. Alright, so I can just keep going. Alright, so that's sort of where I'll finish for this demonstration. So now if we isolate the outline layer again, I turn on the points, you can see this now has become a proper grid point. Okay, so pretty much this is how we do a curved landing. Alright, so another video I'll show you guys how you can do a curved ramp without any straight lines if you are interested. So please make sure if you do this, make sure you remember tracing the outline correctly. Thank you.